Okay, good afternoon. Welcome back to those of you who were at the AGM, and welcome to those of us who are joining us now. We're now going to have our awards ceremony, which will be announcing the winners of our prizes and also welcoming our new fellows. We'll start off with the Beatrice White Prize, which is awarded annually for the best scholarly article noticed in the English Association publication, The Year's Work in English Studies, in the field of English literature before 1590. And to announce this and say a few words about this year's winner, I'd like to welcome Bill Baker. Bill is Professor of English at Northern Illinois University in the US, and along with Professor Ken Womack, edits the year's work in English studies. So Bill, over to you. Do we have Bill? Do we have Bill on the list there, Becky?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a question of unmuting then. Yeah, Bill, could you unmute? Or Becky, you as host should be able to do that.
I've just done that. Unmute.
Okay, no, you're now unmuted.
Okay, can I go proceed apace?
You can proceed apace. Yes, please.
Thank you. Greetings. Yeah. Good morning, all, or good afternoon, early afternoon, from 60 miles north of Chicago, Illinois. Just to add that the award is also, it's not only limited to articles. An article also includes monographs. Okay. The judging process is carried out by the YWES editors after input and recommendation from contributors in relevant fields and a 6-person committee during a particular given year. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the committee for their excellent informative input. I'll say something about the prize. Professor Beatrice White, 1902 to 86, for whom the prize is named, was a well-loved and respected academic, interested particularly in medieval and Renaissance English lit. She was also a creative teacher and a very active and long-standing member of the English Association. Lecturer in English language and lit at Queen Mary from 1936 until 39. In 1939, she took up a lectureship at the now defunct Westfield College, becoming acting head of department of the English department from 1944 to 46. She was promoted reader in 1945, and in 1947 was awarded her D.Litt by the University of London. In the 60s, she was vice principal of the college, and in 67, 2 years prior to her retirement, was awarded a full professorship. In 56, she was the first woman to lecture to the Medieval Academy of America at Harvard University. She contributed over many years to YWES and took over from the long-serving F.S. Boas, 1862 to 1957, its editor for over 30 years, in his later years assisted by Dr. White, and she served as editor from 56 to 1965, volumes 35 to 44, whilst remaining very active in the association, serving, for instance, on many committees. Now what you've been waiting for, the Beatrice White Prize for 2021 is awarded to Dr. Mark Atherton, Senior College Lecturer in English Language and Literature. Thank you for that, whoever's doing these pictures, very good. Senior College Lecturer in English Language and Literature at Regent's Park College, University of Oxford, for his publication, The Battle of Maldon, War and Peace in 10th Century England, published by Bloomsbury in 2021. That's the year of the award. One of the judges commented, remarkably, this is the first monograph on one of the most celebrated Old English poems. While it has become fashionable in the past century to read the poem as a critique of military intervention and rash leadership, Atherton's book resituates the poem firmly within the milieu of the Benedictine reform and ideas of Christian self-sacrifice. He offers rich insight into the real lives of the people named in the poem and the world in which they moved, bringing to life a corner of late 10th century England in which aristocratic patrons were deeply involved in the life of the church, as well as the business of war and administration. Atherton also presents us with a compelling vision of the poet who drew on biblical models and alluded to Old English literary classics such as Beowulf in order to create a modern day hero in the figure of Ealdorman. The book is written in a clear and engaging style which will broaden its appeal to students and the general public. Now I have another quote from a number of members of the section committee, but I'm not so sure if David is going to allow me the time. How much more time have I got, David? Just testing to see if you're concentrating.
You can give us another wonderful word of tribute to this book.
Another word, thank you, David.
Yes.
In this learned, another member of the section committee observed, in this learned and insightful book, Atherton reads Malden in relation to an extraordinary range of 10th century documents that have not conventionally been brought to bear on the poem. In doing so, he unearths layers of meaning and resonance that have probably not been accessible to audiences of Malden since the early 990s. I hope that's not a typo. The period when Atherton, along with most scholars, including the present reviewer, believes the poem to have been composed. Written in a leisurely and accessible style, Atherton's book is not driven by, let me repeat that, as contemporary relevance. Atherton's book is not driven by a single polemical claim, but is organized rather as a series of short chapters, each of which presents a contextualized reading of one part of the poem. Atherton has produced a rare sort of book that will become required reading for Old English specialists, yet can also be recommended to undergraduate students and interested members of the general public. It is sure to occupy a prominent and enduring position in the poem's critical literature. So congratulations, Dr. Mark Atherton. That's your lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill, and congratulations to Mark. And I'd add that congratulations to Bloomsbury Publishers as well, because it's got a wonderful cover, that book, and it's a publisher that I certainly very much admire what they're doing across
absolutely
the whole range of English studies. So okay, your delivery is so good. You make those crits sound like poems. I'll get you to read out my reviews, especially the bad ones, so make me happier about them.
Thank you, David. You noticed I haven't got an American accent, or have I?
Well, we'll have to talk about that later. Okay. No, that's great. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm moving on. Our next award is the English Postgraduate Essay Prize, awarded every year for an outstanding contribution to postgraduate scholarship published in the English Association's journal English. And to announce and say a few words about this year's winner, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Rebecca Pinner from the University of East Anglia, who is a member of the present editorial team of the journal English. So, Rebecca, over to you.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you. I can see a couple of nods. Excellent. It's really great to be with you today. As David's just said, I'm Rebecca Pinner, Associate Professor in the School of Literature, Drama and Creative Writing at the University of East Anglia. And I'm here today representing my fellow colleagues on the editorial panel of the English Journal, of which, as David said, I'm co-editor. And it's my great pleasure today to be presenting not just one but 3 prizes for the journal's annual postgraduate essay prize competition. Before I present the prizes, I just briefly but importantly like to say a special thanks to Filippo Rizziti, who is our wonderful PGR editorial assistant at the journal, for his work in supporting the administration of this prize. I'd also like to thank everyone who submitted an essay for this prize and say thank you for making our jobs really hard this year in the best possible way. We received such a range of submissions and both the breadth and quality of these was truly impressive. So this was a real work of judging and we were very grateful for that. I know, as we all do, sadly, that these aren't easy times for our discipline, but it was really genuinely heartening to see such great work being undertaken by postgraduate students. To all of you who submitted, I know some of you are here today, you and your fellow PGRs really are the future of our discipline. And on the basis of what we saw judging this prize, I think we can say it's in pretty safe hands. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our 3 prize winners to you. Now, I gather, David, please correct me if I'm wrong, that if our prize winners are with us, that they have the opportunity to say a couple of words. Is that okay? I'll pause. I'm going to introduce them each in turn, so I'll pause. I'm not sure who's here and who isn't. But this year we had an overall winner and 2 runners-up. Which is testament to the quality of the prizes. We had to have 2 runners-up this time, so we just couldn't choose between them. The first runner-up I want to introduce to you is William Taylor, who is a PhD researcher at the University of Glasgow, who in his work is exploring how contemporary bio and eco-horror manifests conflicted attitudes towards a nature that it presents as both alien and intractable. And in his research, he says he uses this literature to advance new ideas in the areas of eco-criticism and infrastructure theory. And we've awarded William the joint runner-up prize for his essay, A Benevolent Technology, Desiring Production and the Petromodern Death Drive in J.G. Ballard's Crash. And the judges were really impressed, amongst many things, by William's insightful engagement with urgent ethical and environmental questions, as well as his deft handling of complex theoretical material. So congratulations, William. Not sure if William is with us and would like to say.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I'll maybe just very briefly say thank you to the association for the opportunity to submit the paper. I think this is such a unique entry point for students who are in a relatively early stage of development, to have our work recognized by experts in the field and by quality journals. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce our second runner-up to you. And our second runner-up is Min Vu, who is a 3rd-year doctoral student in the combined PhD program in American Studies and Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies with a certificate in Ethnicity, Race and Migration at Yale University. And their research examines everyday material cultures of decay and discard in the ongoing aftermaths of trans-Pacific militarism and empire. And we have awarded them the joint runner-up prize for their essay, Leftover Liquids and the Moisture of Mourning and Melancholia in Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. The judges really admired this essay's engagement with contemporary debates around migration and displacement, as well as being impressed and delighted by Min's creative prose style. So congratulations, Min, very much. I'm not sure if you're here and would like to say any words. I'm not sure if Min is.
Seemingly not.
Okay,
no, Min isn't with us today.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, that's a pity. Well, congratulations nonetheless. I'm aware, of course, of the time differences with Min being the other side of the Atlantic. But last but certainly not least, we come to our overall winner Georgia Walton, who recently completed her PhD at the University of Leeds and is currently a postdoctoral fellow at the Leeds Arts and Humanities Research Institute. And Georgia researches American literature and culture from the 19th century to the contemporary. And we've awarded Georgia the first prize for her essay, Emerson and the Lyric Essay in Maggie Nelson's Bluets. The judges were really impressed by the effective dialogue this piece achieves between the seemingly disparate Emerson and Nelson, in the course of which it casts important new light on both writers and their work, as well as making a valuable contribution to the study of the lyric essay. And we also praise the overall accomplishment of this piece in terms of both its content and its presentation. This is a very accomplished piece of work. So congratulations, Georgia.
Georgia's not with us today, so we can just
also
fill her in absence.
but yeah, congratulations again to all three of our prize winners, and indeed to everyone once again who submitted an essay. We're delighted that we're going to be publishing all of our prize winning essays, and also that we have the opportunity to publish some of the others that were submitted but that didn't make this shortlist. So do look out for these in due course when they appear in subsequent editions of the journal. And thank you everyone today.
Great. Yes. Well, congratulations from me to Georgia, Min and William. And thank you, William, for speaking to us very briefly there. It's great to have you here. And thank you also, Rebecca, for the work, and the other judges for the work you've done on making the selections here, and for the work that the regular work that you do on the journal English. I mean, it's a key part of our portfolio, and we very much admire what you're doing with it. Okay, next we move on to the Betty Hay Essay Prize, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Pam Bickley, a former trustee and, as I mentioned in the AGM, a member of our fellowship committee, to tell us about the prize. Pam also a very experienced teacher and a distinguished author on early modern drama and other topics. So Pam, over to you to announce the winner, and I think the highly commended in that for that prize.
Thank you very much, David. It's a great pleasure to present the Betty Hay Shakespeare Prize today, and indeed to report that it continues to attract a healthy number of entrants. We altered the format a few years back in order to better reflect today's post-16 English studies and students indeed, moving away from the traditional text-based essay to a more performance-focused assignment. So candidates now can choose between the close analysis of one scene as interpreted on screen, or write more generally on their choice of film, exploring in what ways a Shakespeare film adaptation throws interpretive light on the source play. With film and television adaptation now featuring in many university modules, we thought that this new approach would encourage students to look forward to what might be in store for them, as well as affording them an opportunity to practice independent thinking about their A-level set text. Shakespeare on screen has got its feet under the English literature table. It might once have been the end of term treat, but now it's a way of considering how the play text has been interpreted through a different medium and across time. Writing about interpretation across time is something that A-level students now have to be able to do. Our runner-up this year, Avani Tambe from Bedford Girls' School, chose to write on Tim Blake Nelson's O, an adaptation in modern English of Othello. We very much liked Avani's thoughtful analysis and the connection she made between Shakespeare's text and present-day audiences. Very well done to Avani. Our winner is Nell Osborne from Stowe School. Nell wrote on Almereda's Hamlet, focusing particularly on Ophelia, and she develops a subtle discussion around the film's use of technology. On the one hand, this accords Ophelia much greater agency than is often seen, Both Hamlet and Ophelia are students seen with their cameras, creating their own images and collages. At the same time, Ophelia is the victim of a technology that can be used invasively and disturbingly for surveillance. Nell also discusses the visual iconography around Ophelia, here contrasting Julia's styles, appearance and demeanor, and comparing that with Millet's painting to point very specific contrasts. We felt that this was a sprightly and well-focused piece. It was written with a clear, strong personal voice. We felt that Nell wrote with a sound knowledge of her text and a confident grasp of the potential of film adaptation. The essay will appear in next month's newsletter, so everyone has an opportunity to read it. And we send our warmest congratulations to Nell. We very much hope that you enjoy seeing your work in published form, and we hope that this has maybe given you an appetite to pursue Shakespeare on screen in your future studies. Thanks.
All right, well, yes, here. Thank you very much, Pam, and well done to Nell and Ivani. I'm now going to hand back to Pam, who's going to introduce our fellows scheme and announce this year's new fellows. And Pam will then go on to announce the winners of this year's fellows award. So back to you, Pam.
Thank you, David. It's a very great pleasure to announce our new fellows today. The English Association has a long tradition dating back to its foundation in 1906 of honouring those who've made a distinguished contribution to the subject. In 2000, the EA introduced a special category of membership by nomination and invitation. And since then, our fellowship has grown annually to include writers, academics, educators, librarians, journalists, publishers and editors. Our fellows represent excellence in the many facets of our subject, and they have an active role in the EA's mission. This year, we're delighted to welcome 23 new fellows. Dr. Freddie Bavistock, Head of English at Harris Westminster Sixth Form. Professor Catherine Baxter, Deputy Faculty Pro Vice Chancellor for Humanities, Northumbria University. Dr. Elizabeth Cook, poet, fiction writer and librettist. Professor Catherine Craik, Director of Research and Professor in Early Modern Literature, Oxford Brookes University. Professor Hannah Crawford, Reader in Early Modern Literature at King's College London. Professor Jonathan Culpepper, Professor of English Language and Linguistics, Lancaster University. Dr. Fiona Douglas, Associate Professor in English Language at Leeds University. Professor Jess Edwards, Professor of English at Manchester Metropolitan University. Dr. Dimitra Fimi, Senior Lecturer in Fantasy and Children's Literature at the University of Glasgow. Tony Fraser, Editor and Publisher at Shearman's Books. Martin Galway, Head of School Programmes for the National Literacy Trust. Professor Sebastian Groves, Professor of English Literature, University of Wolverhampton. Dr. Malcolm Hebron, writer, artist, and editor of the EA's own Use of English. Berna Helgadottir, English consultant for the Harris Federation. Professor Ian Johnson, Professor of Medieval Literature at the University of St Andrews. Ali Maul, Co-CEO of Cheltenham Festivals. Professor Pramod K. Nayar, Professor of English Language and Linguistics at the University of Hyderabad. Professor Fiona Robertson, Professor of 18th and 19th century literature at Durham University. Professor Sebastian Sobecki, Professor of Late and Medieval Literature at the University of Toronto. Professor Scott Thurston, Professor of Poetry and Innovative Creative Practice at the University of Salford. Professor Sue Weiss, Professor of English at the University of Sheffield. David Whitley, Fellow of Homerton College, University of Cambridge. Dr. Catherine Wynne, Reader in Victorian and early 20th century literature and visual culture at the University of Hull. We heartily welcome you all to the English Association. I'm sorry that we're not all present in person to give you a resounding round of applause there. I'm going straight on to announce this year's winners of the Fellows Award. And again, great pleasure to announce this year's winner. This is an award which is presented to an individual who has made an exceptional contribution to the broad field of English studies in the previous year. For example, perhaps in advocacy for English studies in the public sphere, organising an impactful public event or conference, establishing or developing an English-related network, or working locally or nationally to increase access to English language, literature, or creative writing. This year, we're delighted to recognise two outstanding individuals and their contribution to the discipline, Dr. Pauline McKay and Dr. Tiago Sousa Garcia. Pauline is co-director of the Centre for Robert Burns Studies at the University of Glasgow, chair of Burns Scotland and co-editor on the major AHRC funded project, editing Robert Burns's poetry and correspondence. Research interests extend to Burns' commemoration through material culture, location, and digital resources. And Pauline is awarded this year's Fellows Award for her use of XR technology to explore and illuminate Burns's literary and cultural legacy. Burns Beyond Reality, created in collaboration with industry partner Edify, is a cross-disciplinary, immersive learning experience designed to elucidate the relationship between literature, location, material culture, and the composition of sites of memory. In 2021, Pauline's success in the Edify Win a Lab competition led to the creation of the first ever Robert Burns VR experience, and Burns Beyond Reality launched online to a worldwide audience. Edify's immersive learning technology enabled a host of relevant VR objects from disparate locations to be brought together and examined in the context of Burns's most iconic poem, Tam O'Shanter, in a VR environment inspired by Alloway Old Kirk. I just have to say it is a million miles from my remembered O-level learning of Tam O'Shanter, although I did love the poem. This environment has primarily been designed as a virtual classroom for the Memorialising Scottish Literature and Culture course, an innovative honours course with culture and heritage placement, convened and developed by Pauline. Altogether, a fascinating and groundbreaking project. Many congratulations, Pauline, and would you like to say a few words? Becky, is Pauline with us?
Yes, thank you. And yeah, sincere thanks. It's a real honour to receive this award from the English Association. And I'm aware of how much the association does to actively promote the discipline, but also to encourage innovation and impact in research, learning, teaching, knowledge exchange. And that is a big part of what this project was about. And I'm really thrilled at this endorsement as we undertake, further research into the possibilities of extended reality or XR technology for learners and lovers of literature and literary culture and heritage. Of course, the project couldn't have happened without the huge amount of enthusiasm and resource thrown behind it by the immersive learning platform Edify, and also by my colleagues at the Centre for Robert Burns Studies and at the University of Glasgow's ARC XR. Now, I'd like to finish by saying that we're only now really scratching the surface of the possibilities of extended reality for our discipline. And to that end, anyone anyone in the association who has done work here, who's thinking about doing work here, or who has just even a small idea of how they might like to use it, I would love to hear from you and to start speaking about this and its application much more broadly. But yeah, it's hugely exciting and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pauline. Great to hear from Glasgow, and very interesting idea to have the potential for further discourse and discussion on that subject of XR. Going on to Dr. Tiago Sousa Garcia. Tiago is an early modernist and digital humanist, currently working as a research software engineer. His doctoral research focused on the 17th century English translation of Os Lusadias by Sir Richard Fanshawe. Between 2017 and 2021, he was the research associate for the ATNU project based at Newcastle University School of English, where he taught modules focused on literary and digital humanities. In 2020 to 21, he convened and ran the Coding for Humanists study group. And from 2022, he has been one of the co-conveners of the Code community at Newcastle University. He has been co-managing editor of the Journal of Text Encoding Initiative and an editorial assistant for the Programming Historian. He is one of the creators and the main developer behind the Creativity Engine, a collaboration between the English Association, Newcastle University, 7 Stories, and the Alan Turing Institute to help young writers kickstart their creative writing. He is currently part of the Being Human, Being as in B-E-E, Being Human team, a Leverhulme funded interdisciplinary project about a 17th century beekeeping book, the sounds and music of bees and the relationship between bees and humans. Congratulations to Tiago. And would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Pamela, and thank you all for this. I am incredibly honored and as usually woefully unprepared to say anything in substance. So I am just want to express my gratitude for this incredible recognition that it's by far not deserved. And the only thing that I want to really say is that the project that you mentioned there, the Creativity Engine, would not have been possible without the help of the English Association and the collaboration with English Association members. So it's thanks to you that this thing exists, and it's thanks to me that is not very good.
Oh.
Thank you all.
Not at all. Thank you very much indeed. And I must say that the committee were absolutely at one in terms of awarding the award to both Pauline and Tiago. David, thank you, and back to you.
Right, well, that's great to hear. Thank you very much, Pam, and many congratulations from me to our new fellows and to the winners of our fellow awards, Pauline and Tiago. Okay, our final awards this evening are our English 4 to 11 Picture Book Awards and the Margaret Mallet Award for Children's Non-Fiction. And to introduce these 2 awards and announce the winners, I'm going to hand over to Kirsty Hewitt. Kirsty is chair of the Primary and Early Years Education Committee.
Thank you, David. So just a little bit about the awards before we start them. So the winning books are chosen by the editorial board of English 4 to 11, which is a journal for primary teachers published by the English Association and the United Kingdom Literacy Association. And these are chosen from a shortlist which has been selected by a panel of teachers and primary specialists. And it's really important to us that these book awards really focus on books that are chosen by teachers for teachers, as that offers something slightly different to other picture book awards. And so we're looking there for books where word and image are of equal importance. So they work together in a way that is engaging and visually appealing to the children. The text has to be of high quality and the images have to be imaginative and of high artistic value. So our first category is for fiction age 4 to 7, where we're looking for language which is appropriate to that age group and illustration integral to the text and artistic merit as well. So you can see here the 5 that were shortlisted. Bibi, A Flamingo's Tale by Jo Weaver, of Hachette, published by Hachette Children's Group. 5 Bears by Catherine Rayner, published by Macmillan Publishers International. Fox and Son Tailors, Paddy Donnelly, published by the O'Brien Press. Flooded by Mariajo Elistrajo, published by the Quarto Group. And The Search for the Giant Arctic Jellyfish by Chloe Savage and published by Walker Books. And our winner is Flooded by Mariajo Elistrajo. So I'll read you a short review of this excellent book. Sometimes the indirect message is far more powerful than being hit between the eyes. This debut picture book uses a limited palette of greys, vivid blue, and a touch of yellow extremely effectively, along with sparse text to tell us an important story of how a problem can be solved if everyone works together. Children will love spotting the yellow tail of the monkey, who knows exactly what to do to solve the problem of the water rising, but needs the others to listen to him and help pull the plug, literally. When the other animals do eventually listen, and it takes a while, the triple page spread gives this momentous act of collaboration fitting prominence. Rereading brings awareness of characters' individual lives, often humorously, as they carry on their daily lives and offer unsubstantiated reasons for the rising flood level. This is a book that older children would enjoy as well, particularly as a way into discussion about the serious underlying message on the impact of climate change and how this needs everyone working together to make a difference. And I hope that our author, Mariajo Elistrajo, is here to say a few words.
Hi, hello everyone, I'm here. Well, I just want to say thank you very much. Yeah, I'm thrilled. Thank you to the association for choosing my book. This was really unexpected, so thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a just lovely book in every way. So it was a pleasure to be able to choose that one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next category then is fiction 7 to 11. And you can see there our final shortlist included the following books: The Midnight Panther by Poonam Mistry and published by Templar Publishing. Our Tao by Joseph Coelho and Richard Johnson by the Quarto Group. Spin to Survive Deadly Jungle by Emily Hawkins and R. Fresson, published by the Quarto Group. Saving the Butterfly by Helen Cooper and Jill Smith, published by Walker Books. And Paradise Sands by Levi Pinfold, published by Walker Books. And our winner of the fiction 7 to 11 category is Paradise Sands by Levi Pinfold. This is a cleverly written tale that combines magical enchantment with atmospheric illustrations to entice readers to read and reread the story. We are drawn into the magic from the first page by an unsettling rhyme warning us of Teller's Hollow. The story is told by a young girl traveling with her brothers to visit their mother. As each page is turned, a line of the rhyme lures the family away from the road and into a paradise, where the unsuspecting brothers fall victim to the teller's enchantment. The young sister, depicted in a pale blue dress that contrasts with the otherwise muted palette, resists his spell and meets the teller himself, a stunning Aslan-esque lion. Desperate to free her brothers, the girl accepts the lion's challenge. Further links are made with Narnia, a stone table and a temptation that leads to entrapment. Double spread illustrations contribute much to the tale and represent the marriage between text and pictures that the English 4 to 11 Picture Book Award seeks to celebrate. Layers within the plot and twist in the tale might not reveal itself to some readers on their first read, but lends itself beautifully to being explored as a class in a unit of work. Okay, on to our next category, which is non-fiction 7 to 11. And here in non-fiction, we're looking for accurate information, appropriate language as far as the age group is concerned, and the idea that the illustrations should communicate well, complementing and extending the language used. There may be photographs in these texts, but all images should be of high aesthetic quality so that they really contribute and work alongside the text. You can see our 4 shortlisted titles there. So Real Life Dragons and Their Stories of Survival by Anita Guarneri and Gianna Leo from the Hachette Children's Group. The Magic of Flight by Nicola Davies and Lorna Scobie, again from Hachette Children's Group. De Bears Poop in the Woods by Hugh Lewis-Jones and Sam Caldwell, published by Thames and Hudson. And Inside the Body, an extraordinarily layer by layer guide to human anatomy by Joelle Jolivet and published by Thames and Hudson. And our winner is Real Life Dragons by Anita Guarneri and Gianna Leo. This book takes us around the world to discover 10 real-life dragons. There is a stunning close-up photo of each dragon, key data, a picture with captions that indicate special features, and 2 pages of text describing their origins, the mythology associated with them, and how they adapt to survive. Much of the information is fascinating and pitched at just the right level. A Komodo dragon tears off chunks of meat as large as its head and swallows them whole. In one sitting, a dragon can eat up to 3/4 of its own body weight. That's the same as you devouring about 70 pizzas in one go. The dragon snake can make its body go completely straight and stiff and can stay like that even if it's picked up. The blue dragon sea slug has many as 84 feathery finger-like rays growing from its body. They are deadly stinging cells taken from the Portuguese man-o-war jellyfish, ready for the blue dragon to use in self-defense. The book concludes with an index, glossary, and suggestions for further research, a special read with exceptional photographs that informs about the natural world and creates respect for the way creatures have evolved. And I understand that the author Anita Guarneri and illustrator Gianna Leo are here to say a few words. Or not?
I think they might not have managed to join us, Kirsty.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, that's a shame. Okay, on to our next category then, which is non-fiction 4 to 7. And you can see our shortlist here. Invertebrates Are Cool by Nicola Davies and Abby Cameron, published by Graphic. Luminous, Living Things That Light Up the Night by Julia Coe, published by Greystone Kids. Wildlife, The Extraordinary Adventures of Sir David Attenborough by Lisa Stewart Sharp and Helen Shoesmith, published by Hachette Children's Group. An Arctic Story by Jane Bernard and Kendra Binney, published by Macmillan Publishers International. And Narwhal, The Arctic Unicorn by Justin Anderson and Joe Weaver and published by Walker Books. And the winner of the non-fiction 4 to 7 category is Invertebrates Are Cool by Nicola Davies and Abby Cameron. This book is one of Nicola Davies' rhyming book series. The cover is striking with pictures of invertebrates in their habitat. We follow a young naturalist as she explores her world. Simple rhyming text introduces us to the world of bugs or mini beasts. Pages are attractively designed with small portions of text presented as pieces of paper taped onto a scrapbook. We are introduced to worms, slugs, snails, cuttlefish, squid, nautilus, and the octopus. Next, we meet a variety of beetles. A full-page diagram shows the life cycle of a butterfly. We move to bees, ants, woodlice, prawn crabs, lobsters, and spiders. One of our child reviewers said her favourite picture was the detailed and beautiful creepy spider whose silken threads look fragile, but in fact they're as strong as steel. Wasps, centipedes, and millipedes follow. The text invites us to shout it loud and shout it proud. Invertebrates are cool. The book ends with a puzzle asking the reader to match the animal to its home. The illustrations are eye-catching, accurate, and enable identification of the features of each invertebrate. A stunning book that encourages interest in the natural world and inspires children to explore their surroundings. And I hope that the author Nicola Davies is able to join us to say a few words.
I don't think Nicola managed to join us in the end. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to our final award, which is the Margaret Mallet Award for Children's Non-Fiction. And so this prize has been established by the English Association in memory of Margaret Mallet, a former primary school teacher and lecturer at Goldsmith University. She was a fellow of the English Association and a long-serving member of the editorial board of our journal, English 4-11. During her lifetime, she researched and wrote a number of texts which made a huge contribution to the teaching profession's understanding of the teaching of English. Margaret was a passionate advocate for high-quality books for children, with a deep and wide-ranging knowledge of children's literature. And among her publications, she did focus sometimes on non-fiction specifically. And so the award for the Margaret Mallet Award, for children's non-fiction goes to Narwhal, The Arctic Unicorn by Justin Anderson and Joe Weaver. The mysteries of this most fantastic of beasts are brought to life in a gentle yet epic tale following the springtime journey of an old narwhal of 50 winters and his pod. Every year as the ice melts, they travel north to their Arctic summer home, where the daylight lasts around the clock and the fishing is easy. It is a journey which covers hundreds of miles and takes several months, with many dangers to face along the way. Written by a zoologist and BBC filmmaker, this story has the feel of a documentary on the page. Additional facts throughout the book complement the narrative and explore the many puzzles and perils surrounding this curious creature. Dreamlike illustrations by Joe Weaver create the vastness of the Arctic landscape, and the final pages give the readers more detail about the future for the narwhal, signposting where interested young readers can find out more. This is a charming book for children with an interest in wildlife, bridging between narrative and factual writing. And I wonder if Justin Anderson and Joe Weaver are here to say a few words.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. It's always nice when that works. Wow, thank you very much. It's a thanks to the English Association. It's a huge honour and a complete surprise. So yeah, wonderful. I'd like to first say, well, congratulations and to all the other nominees and winners today. And a big thanks to the team at Walker Books, which is Alice, Becky and Beth, and everyone who helped pull the project together. But especially really to Johanna for her incredible illustrations that really transport you to a magical place, far beyond anything I think my words could ever dream of doing. So I remember seeing them for the first time and just being transported back to the Arctic, where the book was born and the idea was born. So a big thanks to Johanna. Thank you. It's amazing.
Hi, everybody. And I just want to echo Justin's thanks. That's so lovely. My main thank you goes to Justin, because it's such a beautiful text. It's like an absolute dream project for an illustrator. Be handed a text like that. It was wonderful to illustrate all those beautiful Arctic landscapes and learn about this extraordinary animal at the same time. So thank you to Justin and Walker and everybody at Walker and to you guys at the English Association. It's absolutely lovely. So thank you.
Thank you both. It's a stunning book, and the panel were really excited to see it, and pleased to be able to award the Margaret Mallet Award. And that concludes, I think, the English 4-11 Picture Book Awards.
Well, thank you, Kirsty, very much, and congratulations to all our prize winners and to all of those who were runners-up or entrants for the prizes. And that, somewhat ahead of schedule, completes our award ceremonies for this year. Thank you very much to everyone for attending. We look forward to seeing you again at our 2024 AGM and award ceremony. And I'll express the hope that we will be able to run it in person next year. I said that last year, but it really wasn't possible this year for a variety of reasons. But I'm reasonably confident that it will next year. It might take a slightly different form, but of course, if we could meet in person as well as being able to give audible applause to our deserving prize winners, it would also be an opportunity for the English Association to to thank everyone who's involved in it, who can make it. Put a glass of wine in your hands to in recognition. But yeah, you'll have to just imagine it for this year. Go off and do it for yourselves at home. But yeah, thank you again to everyone. Thank you to Becky for coordinating this. Thank you to the other members of the office team for preparing to it. And thank you to everyone who's come.